Survive with me, your host, Sierra Carter, the #1 podcast for your healthy habits for nutrition and exercise, race reviews from special guests, and everyday motivation. And of course, you guys, surviving life together. Are you guys ready? Let's go. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Run, Thrive, Survive with me, your host, Sierra Carter. Today, I am super excited to have a beautiful race review. As always, we've got always something exciting coming in here on the show. And our special guest today actually lives out in the beautiful state of Colorado. So I cannot wait to have her on the show coming up after the break after I give you the rundown details. Now, before I get started, I want to make a announcement. Well, not an announcement, just kind of a be aware of. During the recording of this podcast, we are in the line of an air show. So currently there are jets and planes and everything flying above this studio with the Blue Angels. And their time and show is coming on pretty soon. So we may or may not be hearing some rumbling and weird sounds over the podcast mic if they are to fly over our heads. We can kind of hear them outside, but they may or may not be picking up on the mic. So just listener, beware. And it's kind of a cool deal because they are flying over our heads as we are recording this. In other news, I want to give a big shout out to all my listeners. A lot of you have been reaching out saying you've been switching where you're staying and getting motivated to go sign up for some of these races. I just want to let you know, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys for listening to this podcast. So make sure you are sharing it with some of your friends, some of your family, or even some of your race buddies, because we've only got a lot more awesome content coming out. I did an Ironman yesterday, so we're also going to be diving into a little bit of the Ironman world. We're still really focused in the race world, but we're going to add some Ironman tips and tricks in case you need to spice up your races a little bit and add some biking and swimming. May or may not be your thing, but I think it's something that everybody should do at least once. I know I loved it and enjoyed it, and I couldn't wait to get to the running part because we love running, right? So that is also coming up. So make sure you are on my YouTube, subscribe to YouTube, Sierra Carter on YouTube, Run, Thrive, Survive on Facebook, and at The Runpreneur on Instagram. So make sure you are on all those pages so you never, ever, ever miss any content coming out, because it is everywhere and it is coming out straight to you for you. So share it with your friends, share it with your family, and thank you so much for listening. With that being said, let's get right into today's race topic, and that is the Rocky Mountain Half Marathon. Now, hopefully you know where the Rocky Mountains are, because I know a lot of people, well, maybe me, confuse them with the Smoky Mountains, which is funny because I actually grew up in the lower Rocky Mountains in northern New Mexico. So I really shouldn't be messing these up in my head with the Smoky Mountains that are on the other side of the country. But there's something in my brain that just mixes it up as I try to say the word. But I know where it is and I know what it looks like, because they're very different if you've been to both. So we're talking about Vacation Race Series Rocky Mountain Half Marathon. And it's actually coming up this July. So Rocky Mountain Half Marathon is scheduled for July 30th and 31st in 2021. It is located in Estes Park. So again, it's a vacation race. It's not going to be in the national park itself. It's right outside of Rocky Mountain National Park. But it's not in the location or the national park itself. It's around Estes Park. Estes Park is gorgeous. I've never heard one bad thing about Estes Park, except last year they were struggling with fires and forest fires, but that is almost any mountain town you go to. So it may or may not be a little bit more burnt than usual. I think there's beauty in either way, because I grew up with a fire burning down my house when I was 2 years old. So I understand you can live in a place where trees are burnt, but it's still gorgeous. So don't let that deter you. Estes Park is still just as pretty. Now, what is being offered is a 5K and a half marathon, kind of back to back. So 5K is going to be Saturday night on July 30th. I'm assuming that's Saturday. And it's going to start at 5 o'clock p.m. You can also add on top of that the half marathon at 5:30 a.m. the next day. They call this the Elk Double. Our guest, Megan, will be talking about her experience with the elk double. I think it is something that everybody should maybe try once, but she's got some good tips and tricks and ways to think about doing both back to back, because it is strenuous on your body, and depending on if you are ready or not for it, you can do it. I promise you. Just got to be strategic about it. Now, before you get there, there's an expo. It's always on Friday. So that's where you're going to be able to pick up your packet, pick up your race gear, and just reading the website, they do have a drive-through race packet pickup. So that's kind of neat. You don't have to get out of your car. You don't have to worry too much about any protocols. I know our guest is really talking about how Colorado is pulling back a lot of their COVID restrictions as more and more science is coming out. So that is a good thing for everybody that is coming or getting ready to go out there in July. Things are starting to open up quickly. Now, the course, if you're watching this, I'm pulling up a picture of the course. But if you look at it, there is a loop. So it is a loop course. It's not an out and back, and it's not a lap course. Thank God. I just ran a lap course the other day. Oh, my brain hurts more than my legs or anything, because laps are strenuous mentally because you've been there already. But it is a loop. Our guest is going to go through it and what you should be wearing and prepared for the loop. But it's a loop, and it does have some altitude. So Estes Park is pretty high in altitude. High, when I say high in altitude, I pretty much am talking about anything 5,000 feet above sea level or higher. Estes Park, this race starts at 7,500 feet elevation. That is pretty significant if you're coming from sea level. So here in Florida, you're going to feel 7,500 feet easily. You're going to feel out of breath. You're going to feel it very dry in the air, and you're going to have to make sure you're very hydrated and maybe slowing down your pace so you don't get lightheaded, because it's very easy to do. The first couple miles, you always feel fantastic because you're using that stored up oxygen in your blood. And then after that, because the air is thinner, the oxygen is less prevalent up here in the elevation, your body can't replenish it, and you're going to feel it very fast. Your legs and body are going to feel heavy. That's just something to be aware of. So thinking about it, where you're coming from, make sure you're planning for a high altitude race, because I would definitely consider this one a high altitude race where it needs to be planned for. But during this race, there's an 800 feet elevation gain, which she talks about here coming up, and it goes all the way up to 7,900 feet. That's significant change. And again, the higher you go, the harder it gets to breathe. So just think about it. Think about taking your time and maybe make some mental notes on how to train for this race. Now, flying into there, it's actually pretty easy. It's next to a major airport. It's about an hour and maybe an hour and a half from Denver. So if you're flying in, fly into Denver airport. I don't think there is one airline that doesn't fly into there. It's pretty much a major port. Southwest is super easy if you're a Southwester like me and you get your bags free. And I'm pretty sure you can fly absolutely anything in there. So just check for Denver. Denver's pretty easy to get to. And our guest will be talking about places that she's heard of other people staying, and a really awesome place too if you're a ghost hunter. But she also brought up a good idea of car camping, which I thought was actually pretty neat. A lot of people talk about just camping or camping in their vans or their RVs. But if you're like me and you don't have either one and you're not really a camper and maybe don't want to spend money at a hotel, car camping. What a neat thing. So she'll be talking about that today. That is kind of where I'm going to tell you to stay for this one. But of course, check out the Airbnbs and the hotels in Estes Park. And then finally, the last thing I want to go over before we bring on our guest after this short break is the clubs and trifecta. So running this Rocky Mountain National Park half marathon Vacation Races has put together some clubs which you can join and go hike together in Rocky Mountain National Park, which you have to make reservations for. Just FYI, before you listen to this, you should be making your reservations because it is a closed capacity due to COVID. But they also have the trifecta. And the trifecta is if you go on all three of these hikes or trails and you take a picture at the destinations where they ask you to for vacation races, You send in the pictures within 72 hours of racing, and you can get a club pin. And that is the neatest thing ever because it gives you a destination, it gives you goals, and it gives you something to do while you're out there. Because a lot of us don't travel to races because we just want to do the race. We travel to races to also explore the area. So those 3 places that they also want you to hike, just real quick, the trifecta is Bear Lake, Alberta Falls, and Trail Ridge Road. So check those out while you're there. Keep those in the back of your mind. And of course, you can always read more about these at vacationraces.com. They lay it out very easily for you in their race guide. I'm just giving you the overview in case you're like me and you don't read very well in details. I'm not talking about reading level, but you're more excited about the race than you are the race guide. So just blatantly going over these and trying to get them in the back of your mind. So coming up after this short break, I'm going to bring on Megan to give us the rundown about the Rocky Mountain Half Marathon. And trust me, you're going to be way more excited than I am because it is such a gorgeous place to go. So I will see you guys in 1 minute. Hey guys, real quick, I want to remind you what Run, Thrive, Survive's mission really is. While it was already on the rise over the last year, we have seen rates of anxiety, depression, and loneliness skyrocket. Taking on the challenge, I believe creating habits to build mental and emotional strength can be key to reversing the statistics. That's what Run, Thrive, Survive does. I promise to provide you with motivational adventures from others, everything running and fitness tips, and habit forming strategies for success. Together, you guys, we can build a happier and healthier community so we can run our lives and not let life run us. Check it out at runthrivesurvive.com. Hey guys, and welcome back from that short break. I am here with our special guest today, Megan, who is here to talk about the Rocky Mountain Half Marathon. I'm super excited because it's a gorgeous marathon or half marathon. If you've ever been to Colorado too, you know that Estes Park is stunningly beautiful. They had a major fire last season, but I'm pretty sure it's okay. But she's here to tell us all about it. I'm going to go ahead and give the mic over to Megan. Megan, thank you for joining us today. And I would love for you to introduce yourself to all our listeners.
Hi, I'm Megan, and I currently work for local government. I live in Colorado Springs, and I'm a runner, a trail runner, and in the local community here, and I'm very avid at traveling, going places, trying to do new things, and I've definitely had my share of experiences with running, and to begin with, I started in high school. I didn't do any cross country. I wish I did that, but I kind of super jealous I never did that. And I just ran recreationally for a very, very long time. And then I joined the Army. So woo woo.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you
for your service.
And I had to do these 2-mile runs, and we would do these runs all the time, and I hated it. I hated running after that. I would get PF really bad as well, so that's part of the reason why it was just it was a struggle for me. And so once I got out of the Army, I really just kept on working out, doing some other things. Absolutely. And I had a couple of friends that had invited me to join our local running club. And so I did that, and I started doing some races there. And I kind of just got hooked back up at probably about 2015. And so I've been doing it ever since, really consistently, and working up to new and longer distances, trail usually, sometimes road, right. But mostly trail.
Now, question, since 2015, do you know how many halves or how many races you've done? I guess, what's your favorite distance, and then how many have you done of those?
Oh, okay. So my favorite distance to run is 30K. And I've done probably 3 of those. I think I've done Pikes Peak Ultra 3 times, and
That
so
is
Pikes Peak
awesome.
Ultra different than Pikes Peak Ascent and Marathon. But it's here local in Colorado Springs, and it takes you right to that sweet spot where a lot of people get to the wall on a marathon.
Yes.
And so I've done about a couple of those ones, and I've done several marathons. I did the Marine Corps Marathon a couple of years ago. That was fun.
Oh, that one
And
looks so beautiful. That one looks fun. A lot of
yeah.
people say that one just it's very inspiring at the very end. It's,
Oh, yes.
I've heard that a lot with the Marine Corps. I hope they bring that one back soon. I haven't heard much about that one, but yeah. Sorry, keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, so yeah, I definitely I like the half marathon. I think it's a
Absolutely.
good distance. I've probably 15 or 16 of them since 2015. So
Wow.
and a lot of them are just not just the race, but it's like a training distance for me.
Absolutely.
And so I'm like, okay, fun. Let's do it.
Now, how'd you find the vacation races? Did you find them locally? Because, I mean, being in Colorado Springs, you're not too far from the Rocky one that we're going to be talking about today, but did you do it first locally, or how did you end up finding vacation races?
So I was getting some ads on Facebook quite a bit for the new Mount Rushmore one that they started like a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And I was like, I should do this. And then I just never did. But I was like, is this a legit? Because sometimes I feel like some of the races I'm getting advertised aren't quite legit.
Right.
And, or well organized. They're just trying to target me. But I
That's
had
so
a bunch
true.
of girlfriends because I am also part of the Moms Run This Town chapter here in Colorado
Cool.
Springs. And we had a bunch of ladies that were gonna go up to Grand Teton and run Grand Teton. And so
that's a
that was my
beautiful
first
race.
vacation race was at Grand Teton.
Oh, what a
And
great one
I'm
to start
from
with.
Wyoming originally, so I was very happy to go back up to that area, and it was amazing.
The pictures people post from that one are just so pretty. And Grand
Mhm.
Tetons, if you've been to Jackson Hole, you know how gorgeous that area is.
Yeah, I love it. I had missed it. I had probably not been there in over 15 years, and so going back up there and running with my friends was amazing.
Such
So
a great
I was very
feeling.
happy, and then I was like, oh, I also volunteered, and because I volunteered up there, I had this credit, and
Ooh.
and being a service member, I was able to get a military discount. So I was like, well, which one can I do? So I saw that Rocky Mountain was coming back,
Right.
so I signed up for that one. And luckily, it was the only race in 2020 that I didn't have to defer or get canceled or get a refund on.
When was it in 2020?
It was in July.
And they had it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's even better. How cool is that?
Yeah,
Now-
it was super cool.
And that was your first time. Was that your first time going up to Estes Park, or was that your first time, I guess, running somewhere up there in near the Rocky Mountains? Or have you been there before?
That was my first time running up that direction. I usually stay pretty local here in Colorado Springs, and then
Right.
I will run. I've ran up in Leadville, Colorado, which is way high. But
Yes.
I hadn't been quite up there. But I've been to Estes Park many times before for other reasons, and but I just never had been up there to run a race. And my plan was to.
Cool.
Everybody was busy. My husband was busy doing something. My daughter was busy doing something. I was like, oh, that'll be a good like by myself weekend.
What a great race weekends are such an awesome like self-care kind of connecting with yourself again type of weekend to take, especially for us runners.
Mm-hmm.
Now moving into it, so this Rocky Mountain Half Marathon, just when you signed up for it, did you feel like you were ready to run it? Because it's at a certain altitude, and I'm not sure how high Colorado Springs is. But when you signed up for it, how hard did you think into how am I going to train for this, and what do I need to do differently? Or did you just sign up for it and, like a lot of us, well, I'm pretty trained, I'm just going to go out and go. You didn't do a lot of specific training for the Rocky Mountain Half Marathon.
Oh, Definitely the second. So being here up in altitude helped quite a bit.
Absolutely.
But I didn't do a lot of specific training. I do have a run coach that I use through my my works gym, and she's also my friend. She's gone with me to Tetons, and we're going to Moab this fall together. But
cool.
She kind of gave me a very loose schedule just to get me kind of prepared up for
Absolutely.
13 miles, because April, we were in here in Colorado, we were all shut down, and then it was barely open in May. And so I was kind of doing a lot of running just around my house, which doesn't have a lot of like climb to it or anything. So I did that. And so when I went there, I was like, well, it'll be fine. And and I had signed up for the double. So I was doing the 5K on Friday and then the half on Saturday.
I think that's called the elk. Isn't that the elk double?
Yes, elk double. I have my my elk double shirt on, so if you want to see that,
go ahead
I can show
and
you.
stand up and show us.
Okay. Let's see.
Wait,
Oh, let me get over.
Shift.
Shifting.
Oh, how cute is that? If you're listening to this, it's like an outline of an elk, and it says elk double, Rocky Mountain, 16.2 miles. I love that.
Yeah. It was super cute. I mean, I got the wrong size, so it's a little big, but
it's okay. Sometimes the baggy clothes are nice and comforting after a race.
But I probably wear it once a week because I love it. It's the elk double. I had doubled up in Tetons too, so I kind of knew what I was into and what not to do.
Right.
Which is, don't try to PR your 5K if you still want to do your half the next day. So don't do that. I did that at Tetons, and I pay for it dearly. So
don't try to PR with your 5K if you want to feel good on the half. You can do the half. You might just not feel good during it.
Right, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Now, going to the Rocky Mountain race itself. So I'm going to pull up a picture because I love this picture. It is your race face selfie. And you at the very beginning. So Rocky Mountain Half Marathon, if you're listening to this, we've pulled up two pictures. We've got her standing by the iconic vacation race Rocky Mountain Half Marathon sign. If you do a vacation race, they always have these signs at every single race, so you can stand by where you are to show people where you ran. It's super cool. And then on the right side here, we've got her race face selfie. Megan, what was going through your mind before the race? How did you feel?
Well, to be honest with you, I was like cold, and it had rained all night. I have been sleeping. I car camped. I don't know if you know about car camping, but we do it a lot for trail racing. Is where you go to the race site and you kind of just sleep in your car and you're ready in the next morning. You're not like.
I didn't know there was a name for that. I've done that several times.
Yeah, no. So it's car camping. Look it up online or on Facebook.
That.
There's some interesting groups about car camping. But it had really rained most of the night. So I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. The field that we are on, which is the staging area where I took that picture, was wet. So, of course, now my shoes are getting wet. And we had to socially distance. We had to wear our mask. I took it down for my selfie really
Absolutely.
quick. So I was wearing my mask, and, vacation races, I don't know prior to my Estes Park, but they have a little radio station. They plug into an FM station so you can hear it. But I was having a hard time connecting where I had parked. So I was like, well, I'll just go hang out down there. So I was just sitting there for so long because I was not in one of the first waves. I was in probably the middle waves. And I was like, well, let's see how this goes. And my coach and I have been working for several years to get past some mental blocks that I have regarding running, which mostly have to do with pacing and, I'm supposed to be running for fun and I'm not getting paid. I'm not serious. And so I had to just kind of go through some of the stuff that my coach and I talk about quite a bit, going, okay, this is for fun. It's not a big deal. Wherever I'm at is where I'm at. And, if I have to walk, that's what I got to do. And I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm going to take maybe take pictures and just enjoy my run, and I'll see how I feel at the end.
Now, hold on. Can I ask you a question about that? Because I've never heard somebody bring this up. Did you get a coach for running just for the mental blocks? Because I think that's fantastic. That's something that a lot of us don't focus on. We're always like, I just want you to get me better, not how can I get past this thing that's holding me back?
Well, initially I didn't get her for the mental block because I was like, well, I really, somewhere in my mind I was like, I want to run a sub-2 half marathon, and I had never run a sub-2 half marathon ever, and so I'm a slow runner. And once we started talking and getting to know each other a little better, she's like, oh, you got some work to do that is not related to pace. It's not related to distance. It's really related to my relationship with running. And and part of that comes from my military experience. It really, they run for, you have to go as fast as you can all the time. So we're always training for speed. And there's nothing enjoyable about it whatsoever. There's no like, okay, why don't you just go jog out, 6 miles, and I'll see you guys in an hour and 15 minutes or whatever it is. No, it's, I want you to do 6 miles and you better be back in 45 minutes. And I'm like, well, crap. Wow. And it really put a damper on my mental spirit when it came to it. And I wasn't enjoying the process, and I wasn't enjoying the sense of completion at the end, because I was like, well, I didn't do well enough. So we've worked through that quite a bit, and I am in such a much better mental place than I was probably 3 years ago. I never thought I was going to be there. And so really, she writes me the schedule, and then I pretty much text with her every day, and we talk about those mental things that I have to get through sometimes. And she even said the other day, she's like, you're in such a better place than you were 3 years ago. I can't even believe it. So
that's such an incredible point to just bring out to everybody listening, that sometimes it's not even physical ability. It's literally those mental blocks, and having that negative attitude with running. I mean, it's not negative attitude, but like that negative, like connotation connection with running, that you have to run as fast. And if you do anything less, you suck at running, right? I think a lot of us have that negative, at least in one part of our running, that negative relationship with it. I mean, when I started it, I thought it was a punishment, because when I played sports, having us run was the punishment. So you never wanted to run because you felt like you were being punished. So it's such an important thing to overcome. I applaud you for that. I'm happy to hear that you came so much farther with that. So awesome. Now, going to the Rocky Mountain race, when you were running it, how was it? Like, what was the course like? How did you dress? What kind of advice would you give to anybody as a heads up of, hey, this might not have been talked about on the race website, but here you go.
Here you go. Yeah. So it's in July in Colorado, and it's going to be at altitude. One of the main things that they never talk about is the higher in altitude you go, if it's not cloudy and it's sunny out, you're going to get sunburn. And the air gets thinner, and so you're more apt to get sunburned. So making sure that you have enough sunscreen on you, you have the appropriate clothes, because even when you start off, sometimes it can be a little cool in the morning in Estes Park, because it is a little bit higher up in elevation, even from where I live here in Colorado Springs. And so you have to be kind of prepared for that. So, having your layers, get ready to drop your bag at the front, or, going to the Goodwill and just buying that long sleeve shirt that you don't mind just tossing off to the side once you get going. And so that was the first thing. I think I wore a tank. It looked like I was wearing a tank, and I wore kind of some capris, some long tights, and I regretted it. Yeah. Oh, no. I got very hot very quick because of the sun, and so I quickly stripped off the tank top, because I just overheat, and I don't know how y'all can run down in that heat and humidity down there. That's not for me.
It takes some doing. Trust me. It takes some getting used to.
but I do get warm really quick, and so I wasn't going to take off my pants, so I had to take off the shirt. And I guess last summer, I'm trying to remember, I think there was a movement of, just wearing your sports bra and feeling good about that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to wear my sports bra.
Absolutely.
I don't have like the runner's body at all, but or the typical runner's body. That's something else my coach has to talk to me about is like, hey, you have a strong body. Runners can be. Do you run? Yes, you have a runner's body then.
Absolutely.
And
such an important point.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of ran with just a sports bra and my flip belt. I like my flip belt to carry my stuff.
I love those.
And a handheld. I always have a hat because my face will get really burned because it kind of sunscreen melts off my face. I probably had my Gooders on because I love the Gooders sunglasses. Oh my God.
They are the best running glasses. If anybody is listening to this and you've had an issue with those, I guess the freebie sunglasses that everybody hands out, they're going to slide off your face and the lenses honestly suck. Get Gooders. Gooders, their lenses are amazing. Mine are in my bag right now. I don't have them. I have them with me. I wear them all the time. They are amazing. And they come in all shapes and sizes. They're fashionable and cute. And they work really well.
I think I have like 10 pairs maybe. I got to
I have
so many pairs. My dog is actually ate two of the pairs.
Oh, no.
And I know she's a big dog, so she does those things.
It's
but
okay, it happens.
And what else was I? Oh, I think I was using back to what I was wearing.
What you were wearing.
I think I was still running in Ghosts, Brooks Ghosts at the time.
So no trail shoes. You didn't need trail shoes for this one?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope. It's all road.
Cool.
And it's like pavement.
Oh, cool.
And so, yeah,
Even
you would have
better.
thought there'd be some trail on there, but no, it is really, you're running through Estes itself, like the town.
Ah.
And so you take off and you're going to go around this like reservoir area. Oh, I'm frozen. Okay, there I am. You go around this reservoir area, and then once you're around that, you're going to take a sharp right. You don't see this coming. There is a very long hill that when I refreshed myself with the course description myself the other day, it says 2.2% is the hill for about 4 miles. It did not feel like that. It definitely felt like 5% at some points, 3 or 4% at some points. So there must have been some flatter areas that made it average out to the 2.2. But what I noticed is that there are a lot of people wanted to just blast up that hill. They're like, "Oh, I got this," and they're like, "This thing keeps on going forever and ever." And I'm a little competitive. I'm not really competitive, but people that had passed me in that first mile, I was like, I cruised right past them because I paced down and I just was like, okay, I got this long hill to get up. And I just passed so many people on that hill. And I believe I looked at the course description for this year, and it's the same course.
Oh my.
So they'll still have that very long hill to go up on. And hopefully everybody just paces down, walks when they need to. And once you get it to the top of this thing, it's almost all downhill from there. I mean, almost all of it.
Oh, good.
And so you're going to have 6-ish miles of just almost downhill. And as my coach says, she's a several-time Boston runner. She's like, I know there's all those hills, those Boston hills, the Heartbreak Hill or whatever.
Yes.
And she's like, this is not the hill to die on, Megan. So like all these things that she always says to me, this is not the hill to die on. I think to myself when I get into that situation, and I was lucky that I had kind of prepared myself in other situations, other training situations locally for, hey, when I see a hill and it has a certain grade, I just slow it down. And, if I need to walk, I walk. And if not, then I can run a little bit, but don't waste all your energy on it, because you're going to have a lot of downhill to kind of get your energy back up.
Right. And you always make up the time on the downhill. I mean, depending on how well, you can always make the time up on the downhill without expending so much energy and enjoying it at the same time. So it's such an important fact for all the runners. Now, how was the rest of the course? Did it breeze by pretty quickly, or how was the rest of your running experience there?
I thought it was pretty good. I uh, bad on my part because I hadn't done tons of road to prepare for this.
Interesting.
When
Okay.
I got to the very end of the course, because now we're back at this like lake reservoir thing, it's pretty flat. And once you're on that flat like pavement, like cement, not even like asphalt, it's cement.
Ooh.
My legs and my hips were like dying at the end of that thing.
Right.
Um, and I mean, I did okay, but it was just like, oh, okay, yeah, I haven't done my road running preparation for this race.
Oh no.
Yeah,
And it's so funny that you say that, because in Colorado Springs, do you train on a lot of trails?
mostly trail. I do try to get some road time in if I know I'm going to go do something that is road related. But,
Right.
this had been such a loose training schedule and this was more for fun. I really hadn't put the time onto the road
Right.
that I had anticipated. And it was fine. And, I've been at that point before where I'm like, oh, I'm just tired. And like Marine Corps Marathon, you're just tired at the end and your legs hurt and you kind of just muscle through it, and you get to the you turn around the corner and you can I love how you can hear the finish line for a very long way, for like 2 miles. You can hear
So
that
pretty.
finish line, and they're calling people in as they're crossing, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm almost there.
That last 2 miles, though, of every half marathon is the longest 2 miles of your life. I think
Mm-hmm.
11 to 12 is one of those that doesn't register in your mind. Like, you almost try to subtract it and push it away every time I'm doing the math in my mind. But gosh, 12 to 13, man, it is so long. It's so unnecessarily long sometimes, especially when the course flattens out. When you're running down those hills and you come to that flat road, whew, you have
Yeah.
no more momentum. You forgot how to moment yourself forward.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it was really truly the flattest part of the course was that last 2.5 miles. I mean, it was flat. And I was like,
I
oh,
mean, that is good news. At least it's not uphill.
yes. But sometimes I'm just like, well, yeah. And it's still kind of my mental thing where, yeah, I'm like, well, let's,
Right.
the harder, the better. Let's get there. And, that'll make for a great story. Flat doesn't make for the greatest story, but it was truly fun though. It's beautiful. And the sun, where it had been raining the night before, and even a little bit in the morning, the sun came out and it was just beautiful. And
Absolutely.
Estes Park is is like really snuggled in the mountains. Like, we're not snuggled here in Colorado Springs. We're on the kind of in the plains off of the
Right.
mountain range, but this is like snuggled there, so you see all mountains all the way around you
How beautiful.
when you're running the whole thing. It's beautiful.
So pretty.
Mm-hmm.
All of Colorado is just always so gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after the race, now that you've struggled through that last 2 miles
Yeah.
and you crossed the finish line, what did you do after the race while you were in Estes Park? Because that's the whole point of vacation races. We go somewhere, we want to explore, we take our small chunk of the day to run this race, and now we get to go out to explore. Did you go to Rocky Mountain National Park, or what did you do while you were in Estes Park?
So because I did it in 2020 and we had COVID restrictions,
Oh yeah.
there Rocky Mountain was one of the national parks that you had to make reservations to be there.
Gotcha.
And because there was going to be so many, it's the summertime anyways, but also
Yeah.
there's people coming in from out of town to this race. I was not able to get a reservation to get into Rocky Mountain for the day. I was alone in that. Also, I don't want to go necessarily hiking up in the mountain alone. If I was a little bit more local, where I know, how I could get into civilization quicker, might be a different story. But I don't tremendously like the hiking alone, and
Right.
it kind of puts you in a unsafe situation.
Especially
But
with
so
animals.
I didn't do it this time. I've gone before. It's been several years since I've gone, and places there that I had to like refresh myself with what's up there, because it had been a while. But there are lots of trails. There's like little lakes that you can go to. I'm like a history buff, so I love anything that's like a ghost town or like old mining camp, or anything that's a historic building. And there's several of those as well that and you just go to the national parks website or the app, and you're able to kind of see if those are open or not. And but it's a super busy national park because it's so close to right off the freeway. I mean, it is a couple of it's probably about 50 miles or so, but it is not very far off the freeway. And so it's the access is very easy for tourists to get there. So you want to plan ahead. And I do believe I did look, and they are doing the reservation system again, starting May 1st. For all summer. So if you're going, make sure you reserve your timed.
Yeah, make those reservations ahead of time. Absolutely. Now, where did you end up? So I guess you were car camping the whole time you were there?
Yeah, I came up on Friday to run the 5K and for big pickup, and I like to go to the merch tent on Friday because then I get my size and or the color I want.
They sell out fast, so yes.
I know. So, I get so disappointed when I go there, when I go to a merch tent and I can't find what I want, and I see other people with it. But I actually car camped at the KOA. Okay. So the local KOA, it wasn't far from the race site. It's just on the other side of that lake reservoir, and you actually run right past it on part of so it's on the course. And so they had tent sites and cabin sites, and I just parked in one of the tent sites, and so I felt safe. I had a shower, which is what I really needed because I didn't want to have to drive back home without having a shower.
Yeah, that's kind of gross.
Yeah,
I understand
that
feeling.
and so and then they had they have people driving around kind of patrolling, so I felt safer there than just parking on the side of the road car camping. That doesn't sound very safe either.
Not at all. It sounds kind of sketchy.
Yeah. But there's some beautiful places to stay. My mother-in-law, I was talking to her because her and my father-in-law, they go up to Estes a lot more than we do. And they like, I think it was the sunny, what was it? The sunny something. Okay. Oh, Sunnyside Knoll. There it is. I found my note. The Sunnyside Knoll, which has a bunch of sister cabins, and they're like separate cabins and some of them have their own like whirlpool that is separated. So there's some like that, and then there's like those big resorty ones that you can go to. And the real place that everybody goes to when they go to Estes Park, and you can either stay there or just visit, take a tour, go to the restaurant, is the Stanley Hotel. And the Stanley Hotel is the basis for Stephen King's The Shining, the Overlook Hotel.
Oh, how cool is that?
He had been there one summer as the story, and he had felt there was a presence there, and that he used it as the basis for that. So I've been to the Stanley several times. It's very creepy, and
of course it is.
Yeah, it's so worth it. Go do the tour, cool. Eat the dinner there. They have a nice restaurant there, and then if you're willing and wanting to, stay there.
if you don't want a good race tomorrow after no sleep.
If you want to potentially not sleep all night, go there.
Right. How cool is that? I did not know that hotel was in Estes Park. What a cool thing to have.
It's so beautiful, and we run pretty close to it on the course, but not enough to like enjoy it.
Right. Absolutely.
So it would have to be something that you drive and look at, but it's on the hill. You see it when you're driving into Estes, because when you drive into Estes, it's like there's two little mountains on the side of you, and then it opens up into this like little snuggly mountain area with the lake, and then you can see the hotel and you can see all the stuff. Is very cute, but you can see the Stanley up on the hill there.
That is so neat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, I wish I was going to Rocky Mountain National Park this summer. That would be so cool to see. That's definitely now on the bucket list. Absolutely.
Yeah,
so cool. So for all the ghost hunters out there who are also half marathoners, you've got yourself a treat this summer. Now, just to kind of start wrapping it up, because we're starting to run out of time, what is your major takeaway for any runners that are either training for their first half, getting ready for this half marathon, or just getting into running itself? What major piece of advice would you give them?
It's really something that I learned from my coach. I kind of mentioned it earlier. Is just today's pace is today's pace. So I love it. So sometimes, you set out to, hey, I'm going to go run a 6-minute mile. I don't run a 6-minute mile at all. That's not even close to what I run on a normal basis. But if I use my kind of paces that I go, I'm like, okay, a fast 10K for me is going to be a 10-minute mile because I'm a super slow runner. I'm going to go, like, the goal is this. And then when I get out there and I start running, it's probably 11:30.
It happens.
And it's okay. It's okay. I'm getting out there. I'm still doing the same mileage. So, it may not be at the same pace. And I know that, especially when people talk about running a half marathon, whether you ran it in an hour and 45 minutes or you ran it in 2 hours and 30 minutes, you're all still running 13.1 miles. So, so don't beat yourself up, and that whatever pace your pace is today is your pace, and it's okay.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on today's show, Megan. If people want to run with you and see where you're going next, can they find you on Instagram or social media? I don't know. We all have our preferred social media.
Oh, yeah. So I do have an Instagram account if they want to follow me. It's Slow Run Meg.
I love it.
That's also my Peloton leaderboard name if you're a Peloton rider or runner.
There you go.
So find me on either one of those, and you can see the things I do, and you can see pictures of my dogs.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Megan. You were awesome. I cannot wait to see where you go next, what you do next. And I can't wait for everybody else to see if they are ready to sign up for the Rocky Mountain half marathon, because it is coming up the end of July. So make your reservations at Rocky Mountain National Park and get signed up on vacationraces.com. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please head over to my Facebook at Run, Thrive, Survive. Like the page so you never miss any content coming out, and find me on Instagram and TikTok if you like TikTok videos at the Runpreneur, and with me, Sierra Carter. So you guys, thank you so much for listening today. I hope you guys all go out and always run your life instead of letting life run you. Bye, guys.